Hey guys, welcome back, I'm Jay. In this episode, we're gonna look at the AWS API service, Amazon API Gateway. Amazon API Gateway is a fully managed API service that makes it easy for developers to create, manage, and monitor APIs at scale. With API Gateway, you don't need to provision any servers to create APIs. API Gateway supports containerized and serverless backend workloads, as well as web applications, such as applications running on EC2, Lambda, and ECS. You can easily create REST API, HTTP API, and WebSocket API with API Gateway. A REST API is a collection of HTTP resources and methods that are integrated with backend services. HTTP APIs enable you to create RESTful APIs with lower latency and cost than REST APIs. WebSocket APIs enable bidirectional communication that is ideal for real-time two-way applications, such as chat apps, multiplayer games, and financial trading platforms. API Gateway provides end users with the lowest possible latency for API requests and responses. It leverages AWS global network of edge locations using Amazon CloudFront behind the scenes. API Gateway is integrated with many backend AWS services, such as AWS Lambda, Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon EC2, ECS, Elastic Load Balancing, Amazon SQS, SNS, and AWS Machine Learning Services. API Gateway exposes secure HTTP endpoints in front of these AWS services. You can use API Gateway to generate an SSL certificate. You can also use AWS Web Application Firewall or WAF to protect API endpoints from common web exploits, such as SQL injection, or cross-site scripting. You can authorize access to APIs with AWS IAM and Amazon Cognito. If your application uses OAuth tokens, API Gateway offers native OIDC and OAuth 2 support. To support custom authorization requirements, you can execute a Lambda authorizer. You can make your APIs private, and limit the access from Amazon VPC only. You can also control the API usage, by creating usage plans and API keys for your customers. API Gateway acts as a front door for applications to access data, business logic, or functionality from your backend services, such as workloads running on Amazon EC2, code running on AWS Lambda, data store in DynamoDB table, or other public or private resources in AWS or on-premises servers. Here's how API Gateway works. Suppose you have a front-end application running that needs some back-end logic from AWS or on-premises servers. For example, a mobile application requires back-end logic to process user information, or thousands of connected IoT devices send sensory data to AWS. API Gateway helps developers to create and manage APIs to back-end systems running on EC2 instances, AWS Lambda, or any addressable web service. When the front-end application sends requests to AWS services, through API Gateway, API Gateway passes requests to the back-end services, and returns the service responses synchronously. API Gateway handles all the tasks involved in processing, up to hundreds of thousands of concurrent API calls. These tasks include traffic management, access control, response caching, and monitoring. You can enable API caching in API Gateway to cache your endpoint's responses, to reduce the number of calls made to your endpoint, and improve the latency of the API calls. You can monitor the API performance using AWS monitoring services, such as Amazon CloudWatch and AWS X-Ray. CloudWatch enables you to log errors and collect near real-time metrics of API calls. X-Ray helps you trace API calls through the downstream services, identify performance issues, and troubleshoot errors. REST API is a collection of HTTP resources and methods that are integrated with backend HTTP endpoints, Lambda functions, or other AWS services. You can deploy the REST API into one or more stages. Each API resource can expose one or more API methods that have unique HTTP verbs, such as delete, get, post, and put. REST APIs use a request-response model where a client sends a request to a service, and the service responds synchronously. HTTP API enables you to create RESTful APIs with lower latency and cost than REST APIs. HTTP API is a collection of routes and methods that are integrated with backend HTTP endpoints or Lambda functions. You can deploy the HTTP API into one or more stages. Each route can expose one or more API methods that have unique HTTP verbs. WebSocket API is a collection of routes that are integrated with backend HTTP endpoints, Lambda functions, or other AWS services. API Gateway WebSocket APIs enable real-time two-way communication. A client can send messages to services, and services can independently send messages to clients. WebSocket APIs are often used in real-time applications such as chat apps, multiplayer games, and financial trading platforms. API endpoint is a host name for an API deployment. There are three types of API endpoints. There are regional endpoints, edge-optimized endpoints, and private endpoints. The regional API endpoint is the host name of an API that is deployed to a specific region, and intended to serve clients in the same AWS region, such as EC2 instances. API requests are targeted directly to the region-specific API without going through any CloudFront distribution. The edge-optimized API endpoint is the default host name of an API using a CloudFront distribution. API requests are routed to the nearest CloudFront point of presence, to improve connection time for globally dispersed users. The private API endpoint is exposed through interface VPC endpoints, and allows secure access to private API resources inside a VPC. Private APIs are isolated from the public internet, and they can only be accessed using VPC endpoints. API deployment is a point-in-time snapshot of your API. You must deploy your API to make it available for clients. To deploy an API, you create a deployment and associate it with one or more API stages. API stage is a logical reference to a lifecycle state of your API. When you deploy your API, you must associate the deployment with a stage. For example, you can create development, testing, and production stages for different environments. You can also use API stages to create canary releases for new API versions. API stage enables you to easily create and test different versions of APIs before the production release. API caching helps cache responses from popular endpoints for a specified time to live or TTL period in seconds. With caching, you can reduce the number of calls made to your endpoint, and also improve the latency of requests to your API. If you enable API caching, when a client sends a request, API Gateway first looks up the endpoint response from the cache, instead of making a request to your endpoint. The default TTL value for API caching is 300 seconds. The maximum TTL value is 3,600 seconds. You can disable caching by setting the TTL value to 0. The maximum size of a response that can be cached is 1048 kilobytes. When you enable encryption for API cache, the cache data encryption may increase the size of the response. You can override cache settings for a specific method. For example, enable or disable caching, set different TTLs, turn on or off encryption for cached responses. When API caching is enabled, you can flush your API entire cache to get the most recent responses from your endpoints. You can also invalidate an existing cache entry, and reload it from the endpoint for individual requests. API Gateway throttles requests to prevent the API from being overwhelmed by too many requests. It sets a limit on the request rate, against all APIs in your AWS account for each region. When the requests exceed the limit, API Gateway returns a 429, too many requests error to the client. By default, API Gateway comes with an account level rate limit of 10,000 requests per second, and a burst limit of 5,000 requests, using the token bucket algorithm. The burst limit is the maximum number of concurrent request submissions that API Gateway can fulfill at any moment. You can increase the account level rate limit via AWS support. However, the burst limit is assessed by the AWS team, based on your AWS usage. You can set per stage or per method throttling limits, to restrict request submissions for individual stages or methods, to improve overall performance across all APIs in your account. You can create usage plans and set per client throttling limits, to restrict request submissions for individual clients. CORS stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. CORS is a browser security feature that restricts cross-origin HTTP requests that are initiated from scripts running in the browser. An HTTP request is the cross-origin request if the request is made to a different host, port, or protocol. For example, a financial trading platform might have front-end scripts that send cross-origin requests to Yahoo Stock Channel to get real-time stock prices. The CORS protocol requires the browser to send a pre-flight request to the API, and wait for approval before sending the actual request, results in a more secure and trusted connection. You can enable CORS support in API Gateway, to allow REST APIs resources to receive non-simple cross-origin HTTP requests. AWS WAF is the web application firewall that helps protect web applications and APIs. You can use AWS WAF to protect your API from common web exploits, such as SQL injection and cross-site scripting attacks. AWS WAF enables you to configure a web access control list to allow or block web requests based on security rules and conditions that you define. For example, you can allow or block requests from specified IP addresses, or requests that originate from a specific country or region. You can create rules that match a specified string in HTTP headers, methods, query strings, URI strings, and the request body. You can block requests that contain malicious SQL code or script. With API Gateway, you can easily create usage plans and API keys, and make them available as product offerings for your customers. Usage plans allow customers to access selected APIs at an agreed request rate, throttling limit, and service quota. You can easily generate platform or language-specific SDKs of your APIs. SDK helps developers seamlessly integrate front-end applications with your APIs. API Gateway supports Java, JavaScript, Android, iOS, and Ruby. API Gateway makes it easy to monetize your APIs and offer them to other AWS customers. You can sell your APIs as SaaS product through AWS Marketplace. You can configure API Gateway as proxy for other HTTP endpoints. For example, you might have a third-party endpoint or private endpoint that you want to protect from any public access. You can use API Gateway to pass the entire HTTP request to the original endpoint, and pass the response back to clients. With API Gateway, you can create private APIs that can only be accessed from your VPC. Traffic to your private API uses secure connections and does not leave the Amazon network. In this episode, we've learned Amazon API Gateway. API Gateway is a fully managed API service that makes it easy for developers to create, manage, and monitor APIs at scale. API Gateway leverages AWS global network of edge locations using Amazon CloudFront behind the scenes. API Gateway is integrated with many backend AWS services, such as AWS Lambda, Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon EC2, ECS, Elastic Load Balancing, Amazon SQS, SNS, and AWS Machine Learning Services. API Gateway supports many security features, such as SSL certificate for secure communication, web protection using AWS WAF, authentication and authorization using AWS IAM, Amazon Cognito, and native OIDC and OAuth support. You can easily create REST APIs, HTTP APIs, and WebSocket APIs with API Gateway. An API endpoint is a hostname for an API deployment. There are three types of API endpoints: they're regional endpoints, edge-optimized endpoints, and private endpoints. To make your API available for clients, you must make a deployment. An API deployment is a point-in-time snapshot of your API. You can create a deployment and associate it with one or more API stages. An API stage is a logical reference to a lifecycle state of your API. You can improve the latency of requests to your API by caching popular responses for a specified TTL. The default TTL value for API caching is 300 seconds. The maximum TTL value is 3,600 seconds. You can disable caching by setting the TTL value to 0. API Gateway throttles requests to prevent the API from being overwhelmed by too many requests. It sets a limit on the request rate against all APIs in your AWS account for each region. When the requests exceed the limit, API Gateway returns a 429, too many requests error to the client. CORS is a browser security feature that restricts the cross-origin HTTP requests initiated from scripts running in the browser. You can enable CORS support to allow cross-origin requests. AWS WAF is a web application firewall that helps protect web applications and APIs. You can use AWS WAF to protect your API from common web exploits, such as SQL injection and cross-site scripting attacks. With API Gateway, you can easily create usage plans and API keys, and make them available as product offerings for your customers. Usage plans allow customers to access selected APIs at an agreed request rate, throttling limit, and service quota. You can easily generate platform or language-specific SDKs of your APIs. API Gateway supports Java, JavaScript, Android, iOS, and Ruby. API Gateway makes it easy to monetize your APIs and offer them to other AWS customers. You can sell your APIs as SaaS products through AWS Marketplace. Okay, that's all for API Gateway. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.
Hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. If you liked the video, please help us and hit the like button. If you want to watch more tutorials, please subscribe to the Cloudemy TV channel. Make sure to turn on the notification and stay tuned. At Cloudemy, we're passionate about cloud and AI technology. Please share your feedback and thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to watch. Happy watching and happy learning.